Now the big question is, then do we have to remember all these codes for the Visual Basic to make this kind of macro? Hell no, right? Because we don't have time for that. And the reason why I choose this Visual Basic as our practice for programming is, in Excel it comes with this recording a macro features, which means if you want to learn or know what is going to be the command to do certain things in Visual Basic, you could just do that actions in worksheet and you can make a record of it, so later you can check how you can define that task. So let's look at task 6, and you can close it or just select the workbook, it's up to you, but let me just close it. There's no save features whatsoever. Whenever we make it, it's saved within this workbook. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, so let's try to make a macro. So we want to record the whole procedure that we want to see the code later. So when you choose this developer within that code, one of the choice is record macro. So when you click this one, it asks what kind of name of that macro or the small subroutine. So you can just leave as a macro 1, but in our lecture note it suggests test-m01, no reason. And another choice is you don't need to do this one every time, but you could use keyboard shortcut to run that macro later. So it's going to be handy if you have a shortcut. So at this moment, let's say control with letter N is going to be our shortcut. So you can choose any letter in here and choose this workbook for store macro. So which means this macro is going to be saved in this workbook only. So you could assign exactly same name, same shortcuts for different macro in different workbook. You can just choose one of them, but safest thing is just choose different name, and that's much safer, right? If you want, you can put some description, but I usually don't do. Okay, then this is enough, so click OK. Then it says the name that you entered is not valid. The reason is does not begin with a letter. It's not like that, and contains a space. No, it's not like that. Then conflicts with an Excel built-in name or something like that. Okay, so then we have to choose a different name for that. So I suspect, because I use that on when I make these lecture notes and everything, so it recognizes that one, right? So let me change that one to just test-01. Click OK. Now it's good. Then look at here. This button is changed, right? And when you place your cursor there, it says stop recording, which means right now it's recording all my actions here. Of course, it doesn't recognize like just moving around my cursor or something like that, but just be careful. Okay, now let's select A1, which is already selected, and typed in there UTB. Okay, hit enter. It's just recognized that much. And go back to that cell and change the formats. For example, how about Times New Roman for the font? Then go to Home. Instead of Calibri, select Times New Roman. Okay, it's far away from there. Start with T, Times New Roman. Okay, how about font size 24? So choose that. Okay, let me adjust the size like this, and bold and italic. Okay. Okay, so we just changed that much, but you can do something else if you want. Okay, and we have that much. Then okay, let's assume we want to know that much. We don't know the Visual Basic code doing this kind of work. Okay, so I want to finish this recording, then go back to developer and click at this one, and that's stop recording. Okay, so I finish everything. Then let's go to some other place. Okay, like this, and select A1 Then go to developer and code with macros. When you click it, remember we already make this show message subroutine before in task 5, and this is our new macro and we want to run this one, right? So when you click run, after select that, you see in this new worksheet you have exactly same inputs in there. Okay, so that's how it works. And in worksheet 3, select A1, and now how about use the shortcut, keyboard shortcut? So it was Control N, so let me click Control and while holding it, click N, then it just do the exactly same thing over there. Okay, then click this one to make a new worksheet, and it's automatically titled set 4. Then instead of A1, let me choose some other cell like that and run the same macro. So let me use Control N here, or to show you, let me just choose macro one more time and test 1 and 1. Then see, no matter what cell I chose before, it always produces same inputs in the same cell. Because remember, when we record our macro, the first action was selecting A1, right? So within our code, it has that information. It should have that one. So no matter where you are, when you run this macro, it goes to A1. It select the cell A1 and do the remaining code. So let's look at that macro here. And this is how you look at it. You can click this Visual Basic, then it opens everything like that. And when you click this one, it shows that one. We are going to cover that one a little later. Or just click macro and choose that subroutine and click edit. Then it opens that small module here and show all the codes. So look at here, we give this name for that macro, and keyboard shortcut will be Control N. And the first line is the range A1 means it could be a cell or collection of cells. So that's the meaning of range here. And it has only one, so which means it choose A1, the cell. And dot select means that A1 should be selected. And for the active cell means because A1 is selected, so that A1 is active cell at this moment. Then for that active cell, no matter what, we want to change the formula. First, the input must be just the UTB, the contents of the cell. And within that cell A1 is selected, we want to do the following thing, right? So the font, right? Selection of font should be that. And size is 11 and like that, right? All this stuff. But with the selection font, it changed to 24 and something like that, right? So it's a little bit difficult to read and understand the whole meaning of it. But one thing is clear, from this, we can check, right? Sorry for this, right? It should be like a 24, right? We changed 24 like that. Anyway, so from this, we know we can kind of cheat, right? So from now on, we could use this one when I make my own macro. Instead of recording it, I just give this much, right? And even I can change here, right? So instead of false, if I put true here, then I could put strike through in the within that contents UTB like that, right? So this is how we can catch some Visual Basic code without knowing anything. So this is a really nice feature. So please use this kind of method whenever you need certain code. Okay. So to practice for that part, let me close this one again. And once again, you don't need to save anything because it's already in there. So all you need is just close it or just go back to worksheet, right? Without closing it. But let me close. Okay. And in our task 6, it suggests to open worksheet 5 again and choose cell A1 already, right? So listen carefully, we choose cell A1 before start recording of our macro, right? So after choose A1, click record macro. Then it asks the title and everything, right? So in our task says put some names on it like that, right? But let me just put macro to here, but please follow your workbook here, okay? And I think it's good, so click OK. Then now it start recording, right? So we don't touch anything about selection of cells. We just go to home, and inside the font group we choose background color and choose yellow or orange, whatever, okay, like that. Then it change that color, the background up there, okay. Now let's stop this whole macro. So go back to here and click the small blue square. Then it stopped. Okay, then let's check whether we have nice saved macro here. So select worksheet 6 and now select from D3 to E6, and we want to run that macro, which is macro 2, right? So let me just run. Then this whole selected cells background changed to yellow. So can you see the difference, whatever happens here and here? The only difference is when you record our macro in here, it includes selection of this cell. So no matter where your selection of cell is, whenever you run that macro, it always produces same results on the same cell, like that. But when you make this macro, our cell was selected already before recording the macro. So it's only remember how to change the color to yellow. So whenever you run that macro, it only applies to the selected cells or range, no matter what. So you can do the same thing for other cells and like that. So this is better, right? So unless you really need to select certain cell, it's better not including the selection of cells within that recording of macro.